Hey, there you are.
Hi.
Hi.
How you doing? I can only see your eyeballs. Oh, there. I got the whole head. Up,
Better or worse?
up. Worse.
Is this better?
I
That's
only see
worse.
your
Okay,
eye.
is this
Almost
better?
up there. Down a little bit lower. Your chin is.
Oh, maybe it's just up too high. Hold on a sec. I'm still figuring out some technology. Okay. Is that good?
What does this say? Oh, it says share your screen. Browse the red. View documents together. Start a presentation. Wow. Okay, cool. I just saw that there's something new on Skype.
Oh,
There's a box, double box, two little things at the very bottom there. It says share your screen. Cool.
what does it mean that we can? Okay. I don't know what that means.
No, I don't
But
either. I just saw it.
I was
So,
gonna tell you before we start. Thanks to you, I signed up with Otter, so my intent is to record it. Yeah. So my computer's doing something a little funny. I have to leave here to go to there, but it's all set up. I just have to click record, and I'll be right back. Okay.
oh yeah, take your time.
All right. Okay. Oh, let's see. Okay. I think that should work. I should be back in a moment. Okay. Hi, Jeff.
Merry Christmas.
I hope that I was helpful this morning and didn't glut you with all the things that I put together.
No,
But
you did worse. You got me emotional.
oh, tell me how. Tell me how. That's. I hope that's really sweet. I won't know till you tell me.
Oh no, I thought I sent you a text, an email. I was reading your thoughts of for Care for Peace book structure that I'm looking at right now, and it's like you nailed it. And then
Uh,
I spent a lot of time on the notes on each chapter, and I mean, you got it.
oh, good.
I mean, you got
Oh,
it.
good.
Absolutely 100%. It's there. So
Uh,
my only question is, now what? How can I help and how high?
uh, you are wonderful. I'll tell you. We'll talk about all that, but I'll tell you that just knowing you has the little that I know about it has opened up something about caring for peace in me, at least in human relationships that I encounter. I'm really grateful.
Well,
I'm
I'm
sure it's
very
something I've
grateful.
always wanted to know.
I'm honored, but I am also grateful.
Mm.
I didn't know that um, uh, I was expecting a whole lot less. So instead, I'm getting a whole lot more close to
Oh,
infinity. So from you. So thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. Thank you too. I'll tell you what I think we do first.
Okay.
First of all, I can see that this is a very collaborative relationship, for which I'm very grateful also. I think maybe what we do is we explore what do you want in the foreground? Because now there's two choices. Do you want the second human evolution in the foreground, backed up by care for peace? Do you want care for peace in the foreground, weaving in the second human evolution? It's all going to be basically the same material, but it's going to be presented differently.
When I did
So,
the cover, I equivocated, and I equivocated specifically on what the cover is going to say, and then um, it. I would say it took me about a year. By the way, that's could change 1 second. I'm just I'm constantly reassessing anyway, so it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't add depth or value to what the cover finally was. But I really wanted to say how much the two are interwoven. And that's why it used to be To Care for Peace. So for about 3 years, it was To Care for Peace. That was the name. And actually, it was only about 2 years ago that I introduced the whole idea of second human evolution, first human evolution. That just kind of popped into my head a couple of years ago. The To Care for Peace thing has been really long. It's been way back there. Again, this is a book that people are going to read, so it doesn't matter how long I thought about something. What's important is how well they're woven together, and then I put To Care for Peace and the first and second human evolution, and then I said, no, that's ridiculous, and then I did the, what it means to care for peace. But second evolution actually didn't come up until quite a bit later. It was just what it means to care for peace. That was it. And so finally I settled on what it means to care for peace in the second evolution, simply because the more I wrote about it, the more I realized that there's a lot of clarity that people are going to understand, because they aren't talking about the second or first evolution right now. People are talking about different epochs and epochs, never know which that is, in terms of whatever it is that they're interested in. So if it's, the people fighting each other, that's one. And then there's the global warming, that's another one. And so there's all these different, oh no, here we are. And there's really no line of demarcation. And I'm saying, wait a minute, guys, there is a line of demarcation, and that's probably somewhere in the middle of the 60s. And here's all the things. It's not just weapons of mass destruction. But it's also when we probably hit a wall when it comes to what we're doing to the oceans and the atmosphere. So I'm not putting an actual date on it, but I think the second human evolution popped up into the title only about 6 months ago, when I come to think of it. So I don't know if that helps. It's so interwoven that I'm not sure. I'm not sure, and I appreciate your challenge to it, because it does need to be challenged at a minimum for the clarity of the reader.
Yeah, and I wouldn't have come up with that on my own. It was because you said something in one of your emails, and then I thought, oh, okay. I do have a response based on what you just said, just as input. I'll tell you, just as input, because, it's your baby, it's your decision. I want you to feel comfortable with it. But from what you said, it seems to me care for peace is the primary focus, is the predominant focus, and the second human evolution is a significant part of what you have to do in order to care for peace. I think it does matter that you spent so many years focusing on care for peace, in part because you know territory so well.
I'm not hearing you. Uh-oh.
That what?
About.
Oh, I see you, and
I couldn't hear you. So whatever you
oh,
said.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yeah, and it was right at the point where you said that it does matter that.
Okay, I know what I said. It's okay. It does matter that you've spent so many years focused on care for peace, in part because that's the rich load of this book. You've really gone into it in depth and detail, and I really can make an easy case in my mind for why opening up this idea of the second human evolution is a pathway to caring for peace. Not, it's not so much it is a focus, but it's also a vehicle. It's a vehicle for caring for peace. And that the first thought of a reader might be, really? We can have peace? Oh, oh, tell me more. And a second thought might be, what is peace? And then you talk about caring for peace. So then I want to know, well, what is that? What does that mean? And what's involved? And then most of what you've already written fits for that. That's my thought.
Um,
Evolving helps us care for peace.
I guess I look at it. I worked with architects for so long,
Okay.
and I really look at the frameworks. There are many of them. It's not just the framework of the house; it's the framework of the bathrooms and the lighting and everything else. So the Care for Peace templates are frameworks. The first and second evolution are different frameworks, and I don't know if I can't use the house analogy anymore, but but they too are frameworks. And so at some point you did something. Let me see where it is. It was when you were doing the chapters here, where love what you did with the titles. That was awesome.
Oh, good.
You're right. I mean, yeah. I can't find it, but people need to know the framework of the car. They need to know the framework of the map and how they're going to get there. They need to know the framework of the countries that they're going to. It's all part of the planning process. And that's where there's a framework for planning, where you start with you back up to the pre-planning.
Okay.
So that's a framework. So you have all these different frameworks, and then when you're talking to people, I have been using from to for so long that it's become a part of me. And I'm trying to think. I was in therapy yesterday with my son and the therapist, and I was saying, well, from where Scott was originally to where he needs to go, we're somewhere around here. We are further along, but we have a long way to go. And I'd say maybe the midpoint will be when he's got his own act together, and then getting his daughters involved, and so from to has been a part of me. So that's another framework. It's a framework for discussion. And someone says, "Oh, I hate Democrats." Okay, so there's liberals and Democrats, and then there's conservatives and con Democrats, which is what I call the Republicans. Excuse me.
Say that again. I didn't fully catch that.
The con Democrats, not like Confederates, but it's also the condemn-ocrats.
Oh.
So anyway,
Okay.
sometimes I say they're the Antichrist, and they've got an Antichrist in the president's office. Anyway, whatever. At any rate, it's the frameworks that people have to understand first. Hi, Comet. This is one of my granddaughters. Oh my gosh. Say hi to Mrs. Rose.
Hi, Mrs. Rose.
Hi, what's your name, sweetie?
Show her what you got.
The mascots.
It's a mascot.
Oh, how nice. It sure is.
Two of them. That's great.
Wow.
Well, listen, we're talking, so would you do me a favor?
Yeah.
And when you go out, close the door, okay?
Why?
Thank you. Thank you. Wherever. You don't have to lock it, just close the door for me. Thank you, sweetheart. Thank you.
Okay.
So, framework.
You're talking about from to as a framework for discussion. So there were at least 4 frameworks that you've mentioned: templates, first and second evolution, the planning process, from to. Yeah.
Right, and you obviously think like that. I mean, what you did with the chapters was awesome. I mean, that's, so you've got and I think that you could almost boil the entire book down to, the frameworks within the frameworks, because clarity that's where clarity resides. Clarity resides in people and their ability to compartmentalize thoughts and ideas into comfortable spots in their heads.
What an interesting definition.
So, you're taking notes, so I figured if I say something that sounds good, please remember it didn't go through my brain; it just comes out my mouth.
Well, that's why it's good that I have two ways of.
We'll add it to the book, and it'll sound.
Yeah.
I'll read it, and I'll say, "Wow, who said that?"
It'll be right.
So yeah, I mean, we want to feel comfortable when we're learning. We want to feel comfortable when we're listening, especially when it's something like this. And I really like your comment that is really about the chapter about the sunrise, because when I went back and looked at it, and I know what you're talking about. It's exactly what I like about the Economist magazine articles. They always start with a paragraph that pulls you in with a story. And so I think that's a challenge that I need to take, and you can help me focus on what the stories, maybe you'll find one in each chapter. You'll find one in some other chapter that really needs to be in the front, but I think that there needs to be the framework of a simple story.
Oh, perfect.
So,
and especially since I now know that you've done screenwriting and studied with Robert McKee, you are very equipped.
Yeah, my wife went with me. My wife went with me to Robert McKee, and Drew Barrymore was there, and who's that lady? She's had so many awards.
Meryl Streep.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, Meryl Streep was there.
Oh, it was?
Meryl Streep, yeah.
It was Meryl Streep.
Yeah, so cute. So I just love seeing Drew Barrymore. That was the one that just got my heart, because, when we saw her in E.T., that,
Right, when she was his...
I just wanted to go up to her.
Right.
I wanted to go up to her and go, like that, but, I refrained.
What if you wouldn't be the first?
Anyway. So, that's a story for another time. Let's keep focusing on
But
this.
all this comes together. So what I wrote down, I am recording it too. You said it all comes down to a simple story. That bodes well, because you are a wonderful storyteller, and those chapters where you opened up with a story were very engaging, very evocative. So we can count on you for that. That's great.
Well, the thing I like about what you're doing is you're doing exactly what I really, really, really need, and it's you're going through and you're able to pull things out. And in my wildest dreams, after our conversation today, you can go through and grab everything you need and say, "Oh, this is a missing spot. Fill this out," because then I can be really creative. Then I don't have to. When I write a song, I play it on my ukulele or whatever, and then I have recorded. I've got all sorts of recording equipment, and but the more I record, the less I really like the song until I hate it. So I don't want to get into that situation here.
You know what you mean. So tell me more about. Okay, let me mirror back what I heard, and you can correct me. It sounds to me like you're saying what would work for you is for me to go through the manuscript and pinpoint what I think you could do in a specific place in the manuscript, and that then allows you to be creative with it.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
After this, I'm going to drop dead, and you're going to suddenly have to put this whole book together without my help.
What makes you say that?
That way,
you look
just and then I can jump into it where you think, I wish he was alive. He could be able to fill in this, or I wish he was alive. He'd be able to help with it. So that's it. That might be way. Anyway, that's just.
Okay, so I'm in. My part of my role here. I'm in the position which I'm not always in, but I am now, of kind of anchoring things. I'm the anchor person here. And you really are. You're the creative person. You can go here, you can go there. You're the one who knows, and you're the one who can do that. So as part of my role, I feel responsible to say, let's see what, at least for now, what feels like it does not have to be changed in what's already here, and what's open for change. Because you talked about the pre-planning process, which was very illuminating. I really hadn't known that. And it sounds like that's what happens at the very, well, or maybe along the way, but at least at the very beginning of process, when everything is open and fluid.
Yes, right.
And you're trying to see what is there, what lands, all that. So I can see that you're wonderful at that. And I think my role is to find out, what do you really want, and what rings true from what's there, what needs to be reworked, and what does not need to be fluid. What parts of it are dry land, and what parts are still water. Does that make sense?
Yes, very much so. And then the next question is how, but let me back up a little bit. You know, it's funny, when I wrote that email to you about you and I are now in the pre-planning process, and
Yeah.
I said, hell, I ought to put that in the book.
You talk about the pre-planning process, right?
Yeah, so that
Okay.
simple email I sent to you saying we're in the pre-planning process, you know, this is where we back up. And, you know, with my clients, I always said, this is where you want to be the last person for anybody to know what your biases are. I mean, I tell them that. When I'm doing a board retreat, I put that right up on the piece of paper, and I put the piece of paper on the wall. You know, and it's, you know, pre-planning is where you work on leaving your ego in check. And it's where you have the issue out between all the people. And in my opinion, there's two kinds of debate. Neither of them are like the debates that you see with the Democrats or the Republicans. Those, in my opinion, those are not debates. Those are contests to see who can capture the attention or the upper hand of everybody else and capture the audience. But the two kinds of debates are, one, two people on a stage following forensic debate process, which I have done, and I've got a great story about that one in the United States Coast Guard, but I'll tell you about that again at some point. That's the first one. But the second kind of debate is very Platonic between Plato and Io, very Socratic between Socrates and the other people, very hearty between my father and me. It's where we're discussing something, and the debate is a procedure, a step-by-step procedure where it grows, and the joy is letting it grow, letting the issue expand, change, go into tangents, you name it. That's the kind that I like, and that's what I try to do with my pre-planning. But sometimes I'll be in the room. So there's an architect, and then there'll be some representative. I'm thinking about the time I was doing a Catholic Healthcare West facility, Morgan Hill. It was in Morgan Hill. It was a St. Louis Health Center that should never have been built. And in fact, I got fired for, I think I told the story in the book about getting fired for 2 weeks while they went and got it approved. But there were 3 people in that meeting, one from St. Louis, who was, you know, one of those really clean-cut guys who probably, you know, got up and prayed every morning and every night, you know, just made all the sisters of the Daughters of Charity happy. And he was there in the room, and while we were planning, he kept coming up with absolutely ridiculous ideas. And then I was back east doing Mayfield. Mayfield. It was the Pine Lake Medical Center, and this lady from corporate who doesn't know anything, she came in and she said, "I'm here to tell you that your idea of unisex bathroom sounds like something you just brought in from California." I said, "Yeah." I said, the women in California at our football stadiums are lining up with the men so that they can go and into the bathrooms because there are not enough stalls for the women. That's California. I'm sorry. At any rate, she won. I did not win that one. So that hospital now doesn't have enough bathrooms. It's just, well, the men have 2 stalls, so the women have 2 stalls.
So in this, what you said about debating, which I think is a wonderful, really, I did not know. It sounds very vital and thrilling. Is that kind of thing something that is important to you to be in the book?
Yes.
To give a definition and a flavor of that?
Yes, it's part of the whole process of, letting yourself go, letting your ego go, letting as I think I wrote somewhere else to you, the whole process, having an open mind is not a static situation. It is dynamic. And what it is how you are prepared, as in fortune favors the prepared mind. It's how you are prepared to receive new information.
Right.
And how well you are prepared to allow any information to challenge the information that you already have solidified in your head. And all those things that you had. The whole gay movement bothered me. And I'm at the point now, and it's taken me a long time to get to the point where I can accept it. Because I was abused when I was a kid. So don't talk to me about, my wife thought I was homophobic. And I just said, I'm not homophobic. I was abused. And it was in a day and time when if they caught you being gay, they'd hang you up on it. They'd kick you out of things and everything else. And these were men at my father's age who were, and kids my age when I got older, who just decided that they'd go abuse other boys. And I didn't get abused that much, but it was enough to just give me the creeps. Yeah. And so I finally just shared with my wife, I said, I am not homophobic. You have to understand that the conditions of the past were that gay was absolutely a no-no. If you got caught in the military, they'd shoot you.
I didn't know. Wow.
So, that's a very personal example of, I knew that I had to get over it. I hate to use that expression because recently it's been used in a very, very, very sad way by Mulvaney. But I think it's a powerful example for me anyway. And the politic, and you look at people saying, Trump is all bad. No, actually, Trump has done a couple of things accidental probably that are good. But there's people who just think he's the most evil person in the world. He says, look, you have to back up and you have to look at what the results are. You have to back up and realize, it's like, what's his name, that guy, the New York mayor, Giuliani?
Giuliani.
Giuliani was pro-choice, pro-gay. He even lived with a couple of gay guys at one point. Giuliani has an awareness that beats the heck out of me at why he's being his insane self right now. So, new information. Uncomfortable information, which is really what we're talking about in this book. We're talking about uncomfortable information.
Say more.
I'm sorry?
Say more on that.
Well, uncomfortable information like, okay, global warming and all the fires that are all over the place, who's responsible? Well, the government. Well, I'm watching Gavin Newsom saying about the fires, he says, I own this. Wow. That was awesome. In other words, he's going to take responsibility as a leader. And I'm thinking, here's the best person. Here's the best person. I know he's not the greatest. I know he's flawed. But he's owning stuff. Good stuff. And this whole global warming thing, where you have the population issue staring people in the face, part of this, we have to say, okay, we have a problem, but what's the problem? And when I think about population control, the problem, frankly, is marketing. It's a simple solution to look at population in terms of the future as opposed to, the control that everybody's afraid of, and when I say the future, I'm talking about population continuity, so that each individual realizes that their job for their own and for the human future, for their own immortality, as it were, and the future of the planet is to replicate yourself. That means if you're married, you can have 2 children because each of you will replicate themselves. But if you get divorced and get married 5 times, it doesn't mean you can have 5 more kids. And that's what I mean more about new information and uncomfortable information.
Right. And in your view, did you already address, I know, talking about the need for an open mind is very clear. Did you address the process of opening a mind to include this?
No.
Or do you feel that you did?
It's only through our discussions that I'm bringing it up. I have talked about it before. One of the nice things about having this nonprofit organization is that I have lots of high academic people on my board. So I have conversations like the one you and I are having right now all the time. And I have these Plato IO discussions, so Socratic discussions, all the time. So I've always been jealous of Gandhi. This lovely. Well, I know he's
never
dead.
Anybody say that? Okay.
Well, I'm jealous. I'm jealous only of one thing, and that is that he had this American girl come visit him, and she ended up living, I guess, in the same compound as he and his wife. His wife loved her. She was just a wonderful girl, and she recorded everything he said.
Yeah.
And it really gave him the freedom to allow the ultimate debate to occur, and that's debate number 3, which is really debate number 1, and it's the one that you have in your own head. And I have debates all the time, just me and myself and I.
Right. That's a really important point. I think we all do if we become aware of it.
Right, and we have to be able to challenge ourselves. We have to take a thought out and say, oh, well, that was pretty dumb. I didn't realize I got that far in that thought before I debunked it myself. Writers are good at that, though. Yeah, but most writers who don't have thought block don't have writer's block either. I don't even believe in writer's block. I wrote another book called Birth Song on Stinson Beach. I actually published it. And I even wrote a whole passage on writer's block, but I didn't believe in it. And I also don't mind interruptions, like my granddaughter coming in, because those interruptions take you out of the moment, take you out of your thought process, and
That's
allow
true.
you to, okay, now
That's
where was I? Oh, I forgot. Well, it's just as well you forgot.
yeah.
And
Well,
if,
I'll interrupt you then, as long
good,
as you're open
anytime
to
you
that.
want.
Okay. So, ideally, just say whatever comes to mind. You know, it doesn't have to be pinned down in any way. If your readers really came away with something that shifted their view and allowed them to take action in a certain way to care for peace, what would you want? What are your feelings, thoughts, visions about the book? Is hypothetically the book is done. You love it, I love it. It's in print. Somebody buys it. They open it up. Their eyes show that they're really engaged. They say "wow" periodically or something like that. What happens in their life as a result of reading the book? What you would wish to have happen?
I don't know. Obama said that his favorite book was *Sapiens*. So I went out and bought the book, and I can totally understand why he loved that book. In fact, I think I
Did it make you open to something and then act differently, see
no,
differently?
no.
Okay, but your book, I'm assuming, if I'm wrong, tell me. I'm assuming that you do want people to think and act differently after reading the book.
But it won't be because I'm telling them how at the end of
Okay,
the
it's
book.
not a
It'll be
how-to book.
because they
Okay.
will see the framework and they'll start seeing, you know, frankly, I think that the one thing that might grab people because people around me are starting to use From too.
Hmm.
They might start looking at things in a From to manner. If you look at what's going on with all this bullshit with Donald Trump, I'm calling him Bozo. He's he's a clown, and you watch what's going on with all the other clowns that are around him. Um, the From two of their intellectual capability has just it's way over here on the From when it comes to not even being opinionated. It's just being so ignorant
Okay,
that
so let's. Sorry.
I don't know. No, I don't. I'm sorry. I might not be.
Let's
Interrupt me
let
anytime you want. Absolutely, interrupt me anytime you
I could listen all day, and I want to fulfill the role that I think I have.
want. Okay.
Um, so, because if you can muse about this question, I think that it'll work backwards and help clarify what the book needs to be and
Okay.
so on. So, making the assumption that this book will have an impact on people who read it, whether they're individuals, whether they're people in other countries that you begin to work with, that it will have an impact on them, something will change in them. What would you like that impact to be? Any thoughts at all about how it might play out in a person's life at all, including, not limited to, but including that you're talking about this being basically a grassroots
Gotcha.
phenomenon?
Gotcha. I think I
Okay.
have a simple answer.
Okay.
If some of the tools and frameworks become part of their vocabulary.
No,
Did you hear that? You kind of
it froze up. You said if, and then it stopped.
okay.
Sorry.
If the book inspires people to include the language, which includes the frameworks, in their regular conversations. That's it.
Really?
Yeah, so if I see somebody up on the stand who's read the book, debating with someone, they say, well, one of the from twos that we really have to address is the population problem. And, I don't think that would, somebody would say, yeah, but, you can't use Idi Amin as an example of the best person, even though he did kill a lot of people and make it much easier and better for the people who were still alive.
Oh.
It's
okay.
Best person. That's a best person. So who's the best? Is that person who's running, the symbol of my best person? Is Elizabeth Warren really my idea of the best person up there on the stand? So that's a best person example.
Okay.
Well, I'm sorry, I can't do that project that you just asked me because my core value is really it's to care for peace, and I have to do everything based on that value, and my goal is ... This is the vocabulary I'm talking about.
That's great. I'm really glad I asked it. That's really helpful.
I am too, because I don't think anybody's going to be saying, oh, well, I'm going to take these frames and put them up here and maybe I'll take all the templates and put them on little pieces of wood that people can put up on their wall. That's not the point. It's got to be in their vocabulary. And I mean, look at all the memes out there. They're always saying the meme. Oh God, there's a new meme out there now. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I just thought of it yesterday, and I just said, "Oh, please, no." It's whatever that room is underneath the Capitol building that they have these secret meetings. It's called a skunk or a ski or a sky, or I don't know. It starts with SC, and I guarantee it's going to be the next meme, like mindfulness and some of these other words that get stuck in everybody's heads. Great word too, by the way.
Okay. So I'm still focused on the end of the book. I'm focused on the last chapter, how you can help, and I'm focused on what happens after they close the book, having read it, and what happens in their lives. I'm thinking about how you were with me when we met in person, and the emails that you've sent me since. That you said grassroots, it begins with me, and I actually have experienced that with you. It's made a difference. It's really penetrated. What you said at the restaurant. Is this a good place for you to sit? Is the sun in your eyes? Would you like to sit here? Would you like to sit there? Can I get you this or that? Whatever. And then shortly after we were settled in, you said, I'm caring for your peace. And I thought, wow, yes, that's true. And what let me see that, and it's been true since then, many of the emails you've sent me, I feel like I'm being shown by example on some level what it is to care for peace, for somebody's peace, an individual person's peace. And a lot of why that became true in my mind and penetrated is because there actually was some action connected with it. Whether it was a verbal expression, a written expression, opening a door, in another time and place, it might have simply been called wonderful nurse, but it goes beyond that,
This means back up, because you're...
Okay.
Because just back up a little bit, or back up a lot, but just back up a little, because you cut out.
Oh, did I? I'm sorry. Okay. So these things that you did when we were in person, and also some of the emails you sent, like the the email that said, "How can I help you? You're my client," when I've been thinking that you're my client and I'm supposed to help you, it was phenomenal, mind expanding. And in each case, there was some action connected with your caring for my peace, which made it known to me, which made it tangible and experiential for me. So I'm not just taking it as, these are nice ideas. I tasted it on that small level. That's the kind of thing I'm talking about. What can a person, in addition to language, maybe you can just reflect on it. You may not have an answer right now. What can people do that shows caring for peace in their lives? And are there a variety of levels? Is there like, okay with my spouse, okay with my friends, okay with my neighborhood, does it go wider? That kind of thing.
Yeah, and I don't know how much verbiage we can put in here that will just send people over the top. For instance, I immediately think of, well, okay, here's how you have to act. You have to remember that, in the old days, people had manners. So,
that's what I said. That might have cut out. I said in another time and place, it might have been called really beautiful manners.
Yes, thank you. I'm glad you repeated that because I'm recording it and I didn't hear that.
Okay.
Yeah, very good. Very good. And your idea of levels of caring for peace, yeah, I mean, the first one or the second or the third one, then you have, how do you anticipate other people's needs? How do you discriminate? And that's a positive word, discriminate. So anticipation and discrimination become part of your ongoing assessment process, and that's what it has to be. And I go back to the Socratic principle of living a interesting, inquiring life. I can't remember what the word is. I have anomia sometimes.
Was he the one who said the unexamined life is not worth living?
That's right. The problem I've always had with that is that I think it was improperly translated.
Uh-huh.
Because by reading the unexamined life, you're thinking, well, you're talking about you're thinking about examining my life. Just a sec, stop. So, there you go. So when people hear that, they aren't really hearing what Socrates meant. Oh, am I supposed to be examining my life? No, I think that what he meant, after having read a whole bunch of the Plato stuff, especially with Io, his conversations with Io in the Republic, if you read the Republic, anyway, which I haven't read since high school, it really means examining life. Not my life, not your life, but life. So,
okay. So this came about, that's really, yes, no, I actually was one of those people who thought examining my own life, I did. So this is very illuminating, and this refers back to the question about levels of caring for peace. And you said, how do you anticipate others' needs and discriminate? It's an ongoing assessment process using the Socratic.
Whoa, you're cutting.
Yeah, it just cut out for a moment. Okay. I'm just returning to the last focus, which was levels of caring for peace, and you had said, how do you anticipate others' needs and discriminate? It's an ongoing assessment process. So anticipating others' needs is part of caring for peace.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Now, I'd like
Oh,
to ask you
yeah.
something. Because when you were describing to me our first meeting at the restaurant, in your mind, where is that in the levels on the from to scale? Where is that in your from to mind?
Well, okay, that's a great question. I could tell you right away. I knew that you had this orientation, and I knew that it was a global orientation, a big thought, and I was deeply impressed that this big global thought could be brought down so beautifully and simply into a personal interaction.
I will plagiarize that.
Okay,
Please,
it was.
please inject that. That's a powerful statement. Thank you.
Okay, I'm glad I'm recording it because when I talk, right. Okay.
Listen, I'm going to make sure that you are recognized either in whatever the frontispiece or the, I don't know where, I have read some.
The acknowledgments would be very nice.
You got it.
Thank you.
Special section.
Thank you. You'll probably have a bunch of people to acknowledge. But yeah.
So tell me a little bit more. You said global to individual. So what other thoughts do you have when you're thinking about how you can take this? You mentioned that you've thought about it since.
Yeah.
How? When?
Okay. Well, I do. I don't think everybody operates the way I do. I think I am somebody who really wants to, and to some degree needs to, make things very personal to me for me to really get whatever it is. Even though I have all sorts of ideas and opinions about large things, it is when it becomes personal I can make use of it directly that it becomes really real for me. Because in my experiencing it and applying it, something changes. I recognize, oh, this is what it's like. And, oh, I just had a taste of it. And, oh, I like it. I want to do more of it. So the kind of things that I've noticed, it has been in the background of my mind, is I've been more... there are three of us living in our house, in our flat, I guess you'd call it, three people in a 2-bedroom house. And my office is part of the dining room. And if I see clients in person, then I get the whole living room for that period of time. So I get testy about being interrupted if I'm in the middle of something, because I'm all there and then to have to stop and say, do we have enough cat food? That's difficult for me. And things like that, and more so. And what I've noticed is with caring for peace in the background and my experience of your caring for my peace really made a big difference. There was like a pause place inside me that hadn't been there before. A space inside that hadn't been there before. And when, for example, my husband or my son wanted my attention when I really didn't want to be bothered because I was hyper-focused on something, I would remember that I loved them faster than usual.
Wow.
And I would remember, this is what's happening with them at this moment. This is their priority. It's not mine. But theirs isn't less than mine, and mine isn't less than theirs. So let me at least say, I love you, I'll talk later, and possibly be willing to bookmark where I am now and give them my attention. That actually has happened. And it is because of you. So, I'm a good guinea pig to the extent that this is how I operate. There are people who are much more large scale than I am, and I hope to keep learning from them, and you are one. But this is how it translated down to me.
Okay, so based on what I just heard, then I'm going to add good Socratic dialogue here. I'm going to add that one of the takeaways from the book is not just having it in their language, but to have it in their spirits, exactly like what you just said.
Ooh.
And it must come from their spirit. So mind and intellect, spirit, and the results are physical. Because when those interruptions come, like when my granddaughter walked in, I now have joy. Wow, she came in. I didn't say, stop, get out of here. I'm in the middle of a meeting. Because then what's going to happen to my metabolic rate? It's going to go up. I want my spirit to be way over here on the 2 side. And my life is physically better because I practice care for peace all the time. We have an aerobics instructor in the swimming. Well, she's not in the swimming pool. She was standing on the side of the pool telling us what to do while we were in the pool, And the sun was shining right on her face because she's facing us, and the sun is just coming up in the east, and it's shining right on her face. Well, I got out of the pool, and I got one of those umbrellas, and I opened it up right for her, And, and then there's a lady who's actually her husband, her name is Kathy Herman. Her husband, and she's in the pool. I'm in the pool with some of the most brilliant people in the world, and some of these people in Marin are just awesome. There's a lady, I've known her for 8 years, but we all kind of have our spaces and our places in the pool because yap. We all talk. At any rate, Kathy Herman is married to Jerry Herman, who is the one and the same Jerry, Jeri Herman, who was the defense attorney at the George Jackson trials when the judge got shot, killed in the 60s. I mean, it was, one of those awful things, and I've talked about it. And, she's got a lot of pain because he's now, he's in and out of the hospital and everything, everybody's getting older. And someone said it was her birthday. So I'm in my corner in the deep end, and she's way over there in her corner. And so I just started swimming toward her like this. And I said, which cheek do you want? It's her birthday. Everybody was singing happy birthday. So I'm going like this, and she sees me coming. I say, which cheek? And she goes, because caring for peace is also doing something more.
If that's a new statement, that's wonderful.
If you think it and it's good, do it. I also have a policy, and that is say nice things. Say nice things. Then you'll never worry about whether you say something wrong.
Wow. This is perfect.
So after this call, I'm going to die, and then you're going to be responsible for...
No, you're not, but maybe you'll go on vacation.
Okay.
I love that you said that because, first of all, I encourage you to tell stories anytime you want to. It makes things real.
Okay.
It brings it into the imagination. It brings it into a felt sense. Then it becomes real. So those pool stories are wonderful, and telling them led you to say this line: caring for peace is also doing something more. And all of those things are, it's like, it's not the expected, it goes beyond the expected, and it has a repercussion.
Yes, an example of that in my experience is going to the groundbreaking of the health center in Myanmar, and there was no singing, there was no music. So I vowed to write the Care for Peace song and have the children sing it at the grand opening, and they did. So
that's how it happens.
That's a something more like what you're talking about. There's always, it's important to live substantially and with style. It's important to live. There's got to be a word for substantially, but it means with substance.
Mm-hmm.
It's important to fill your life with the search for meaning, and as much meaning as you can get, and style. Don't just bake a cake. Put little flowers on it.
Well,
and whenever I cook for anybody, I always do something. I got a whole bunch of rosemary. So, if you make a steak, you take a rosemary branch, put it on the steak. You do it good. The substance is baking, is barbecuing the steak, but the style is how you present it. And we all like that. We go to a restaurant. We pay people to give us style. We pay restaurants to give us style.
I think, from my standpoint, we're on a wonderful track.
Me too.
Because the ideas are there. You may find that you want to fill them out more, or I might say, I don't fully understand this, please fill it out more. But the more, at least for me, coming into this from the beginning and from where I do come in, the more it becomes concrete, specific, actualized, the better I understand it. And I think that it engages parts of me that might not otherwise be engaged. I think without that, I would take it in like, sorry for the pen, from here up. Really good ideas. I like those ideas. Really good ideas. That was a good book. Okay, what's for supper? Or, but to have these kind of examples, even about the pool, about the cake, it brings those ideas home. And then I feel like, I relate. Once I relate, it's mine. How can I do that in my way, in my life?
Oh, that's cool. I see what you mean.
Yeah. And since you're a wonderful storyteller, we're in luck.
Well, that's interesting. If you don't mind capturing some of the stories when we're talking, then that's great because, as I say, I'm jealous of
Gandhi.
Because it's just, and I'm not jealous of Socrates because he took to hemlock,
Right.
No,
right.
But I'm jealous of Plato, and Aristotle. Oh my God, Aristotle,
So you're being able to tell stories in the flow of conversation helps with the jealousy of the great thinkers of the universe.
Oh, I like that. That's cool. Yeah, exactly. And it's really not jealousy; it's envious, because jealousy is different. Envious is, oh God, I wish I was there. Jealousy is, I wish I was that person. I wish I had what that person has.
You want to
neither
be
of them
having
are very
great
good.
conversations.
I'm sorry?
You want to be having the great conversations.
Yeah.
And you will be.
Right.
I mean, you may already have been, I don't know, but I remember you said you wanted to be able, when the book is done, to speak, and generate conversation, generate thought, and you'll be able to.
Well, yeah.
So who knows, that dream might come true.
You know, I just had a flash thought about when my wife and I were in Curacao in the Netherlands Antilles. Um, I was hired to help with the records management and with the computer conversion and a whole bunch of other stuff. And Kaiser was being looked at as not good. They were getting ready to kick Kaiser out. Literally, front page of the newspaper when we got there said Kaiser no mentor propensa. That was papiamento for Kaiser's going to get kicked out. Well, I talked to the people there, and they didn't like what Kaiser represented and the fact that I was making $15 an hour, and they were lucky to make $15 a week. And so I said, well, let's start a communication seminar and look at your country and my country, and let's just get together. My wife and I started something called a communication seminar, and it just blew the socks off everybody there because we got it all out. We got all the problems out. We talked about it. And, you know, they said $15 an hour. They were looking at us as, well, we're becoming rich on them. Yeah, but if you go to America, $15 an hour is not that much. Here's what it is. And so, just little by little, we all came together. It was unbelievable. And they threw us a party at 2 o'clock in the morning. That's when all their parties are before we left, because it's so damn hot out there that you have to wait until the heat of the day subsides by about 11 o'clock.
Wow.
And then you go to the party around 11. You slept before that. You go to 11, you eat your cabrito that's been cooking all day around a spit, your goat, and then you're supposed to go to work the next day.
That's a great story. I want to ask you, what were the elements of Care for Peace in that?
Ooh, what do you mean?
What's in the book here so far, the elements of caring for peace. How did you might not have actually been thinking in those terms at that point.
Right, I wasn't.
In that communication seminar, but looking back, were there aspects of what's in the book in that situation?
Wow, that's a good question.
You could give it some time.
I'm sorry?
You could give it some time.
Well, yeah, I will. My immediate answer is it's my nature. It's just my nature to do what? To solve problems. Mm. I was called the fixer by Columbia HCA, the big guys up there who own 193 hospitals, and I was a fixer.
So, as in accordance with your nature to solve problems, was there something that you did in the communication seminar that used any of the principles or frameworks or whatever from this book that are currently in this book?
I don't think so. No. I mean, I was in a laboratory of human relations when I was in college. I even give Merritt Winans and Peg McCone give them credit. And that's really where it came from. Werner Erhard took the whole idea of sensitivity awareness to a way to make money. And so we did the Erhard Seminars training thing. Well, I did the same stuff, but I took it to a sensitivity awareness. I used to run sensitivity awareness classes in the Sacramento State College experimental college that I started.
Started a college?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, San Francisco State started an experimental college, and so we looked at what they were doing, and then we said, well, we're going to do that at Sacramento State College. So we had this black studies. There were never any black studies anywhere. So we started that, and we had a whole bunch of classes that people took, but the classes that I did were in sensitivity awareness.
Wow.
And that, in many ways, is a basis, one of the bases for the communication seminar, because that was where I learned how to run that kind of a meeting, how to facilitate it, how to get people talking.
How to get people talking.
And
I think. Sorry, go ahead.
no, I want to hear what you said.
I just think that there is room for a section in the book on how to get people talking.
Mm.
Some of the things that are native to you are new to me, and probably to other people.
Well, that's a framework.
Okay. What would you call it?
What you just said. How to get people talking. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
I mean, that's a framework.
Okay.
And when I say that's a framework, I mean, that's something that you could probably graph out. Anything that is a frame, you can probably graph it out.
Ah.
I mean, look at Maslow's hierarchy of human needs. I mean, that's a frame.
Okay. Right. Okay. It's good. I keep talking to you. I learn more and more.
I do too.
You're an infinite. I mean, I do. I learn more and more, and I learn more and more about you and your interests and your background and the things you've done and the things you've tried. There's no end to it, and it's fascinating. And I think a lot of it might be applicable in the book.
Okay, that's cool. I have to say, you're the only one I've ever talked about this. But,
really?
Oh yeah. I mean, it's not.
Your family isn't. They haven't memorized the stories.
Who? Oh, the people.
Your family hasn't memorized.
Oh no!
The stories.
In fact, my wife, if she comes home, I will introduce you. I tell people that I've been married for 42 years, and we were together for 3 years. She went with me to the Bahamas, to Bahrain, Curacao. We've traveled the world, and I tell people, she's so honest. And when I say so honest, she's steady. She's my rock. And yet she's so honest, and if I tell a story, people say, my God. Like I was a ski instructor to kids in Switzerland. Okay. So that's a whole package right there.
Oh my God. I'm going to have to hear some more of your stories. There's a place for so many of them. There really is a place for
it. That's great.
Because they illustrate what you care about.
Yes, that's true. That is very true.
And illustrations, I can point to something and say, we need more of this here or less of this here. But I can't make up the illustrations. As I know more about you, then I can see what fits for what. You were a ski instructor in Switzerland.
Yep.
Wow.
In a time when, I'm sure it's still true, nobody but Swiss nationals are allowed to teach.
Wow.
And the children's, I was opening telecabin doors. That's what I was doing. They hired me to do that. I'd just been traveling around Europe on a rail pass and everything, and that's a story in itself. But anyway, how I got up there. But anyway, I was opening telecabin doors, those cabins that have 4 people in them and their skis on the outside. And so the telecabin would come on up, the door would automatically open, and we would take out their skis and hand it to them, and then the little telecabin would leave. But the guy who was in charge of teaching the kids died, and none of the other ski instructors wanted to fill in the gap because children don't tip. And the ski instructors in Switzerland had a specific amount of money that they were allowed to make. They were only allowed to make 1,000 francs a week. That's it. So here I am up there teaching little kids how to ski, and here's all these filthy rich people saying, what's an American wearing a piece-there jacket? I wasn't even allowed to wear the jacket, teaching kids how to ski. And I said, oh, kids don't tip. I'll bet I made more money in tips than any of those ski instructors.
From their parents?
Yeah, because they gave me tips. The word got out. Oh, I also took my guitar up, so I ended up playing guitar with the kids and everything else. So that was fun. Anyway,
And
my God.
also, I think it's kind of charming that you started off open.
Up, up. Can't hear. Can't hear.
Yeah, I know. Okay, I think I can redo it. I find it so charming, among other things, so charming that there you were opening up the cabin doors because it set a precedent for what would years later show up as you opening the door of the restaurant for me.
Wow. That touches my heart. That's
And many, many other acts of similar generosity, I'm sure, for other people. That's what I get to know directly.
Here's something for you. One of the people who got out of the door was this absolutely adorable, I would say, I think she was 18 years old, and all of the other 3 people who got out, they were equally as adorable, wearing very expensive jumpsuit skis. You know, nobody in Anzer, a private British ski resort, was anything less than filthy rich. And I said, bonjour, avez-vous l'abonnement? Which is, you have your ticket, and she had it stuffed in here, she took it out, and as she was taking it out, she looks at her friend, she says, I wish these French guys could speak English. God, he's so good looking. And I went like this, and I said, well, I think that you're the prettiest girl I've ever seen in my entire life. And she laughed, and they got out. By the end of the day, she came by to get back in, to go down to the bottom, because it was the only way you could get to the ski slopes. And she said, I just talked to me, Mama, and we want to invite you down to our chalet. So I went down to the chalet, and man, to make the longest story short, that started the next year and a half in England, Europe, south of France, you name it. Turns out that the people that I went and visited owned 2/3 of the Rhodesian tobacco crops.
Oh my God.
I'm going to stop there because it's just...
It could go on.
I got more stories than this book could ever...
Right. We'll have an excess, but
good.
That's better because they can always be, winnowed and cut and all that.
Yeah.
But I can't invent them. That's wonderful.
Yeah.
I'm very encouraged by this. I also want to say I think that what's in the foreground is caring for peace. I think you're right that the second human evolution is a framework and not the chief.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Okay. So, for my part, I feel like I have enough to take a next step and then tell you what next steps I think you might profitably take. Do you have any more things you want to say or ask me? Or
no, just fill in the chapters. And I love the world is our eco kibbutz. That was just,
all I did, my dear. All I did was I fetched it from where you put it, where you hid the lead. It's yours.
No, it isn't. I don't.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I didn't make it up. I just took it from page whatever and said, "Let's make this the title."
Oh yeah. Well,
that's it.
Seriously,
it is good.
I'd say. I mean, if you're brave enough, not even brave enough. I mean, you're on a roll, and I want to make sure that I support you on a roll. In the same way I did with the girls who were learning how to do the song, I got out of the way. I have been very successful getting out of the way. Very successful getting out of the way. Because,
is that part of caring for peace?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
All right.
It's the way you raise children. It's the way you raise children. You tell them what needs to be done. You be a good model, and then you get out of the way.
Okay. This is beginning to get really juicy.
Oh. I can't thank you enough. I mean, I'm just blown away. And this morning I was seriously in tears.
Really?
Oh yeah, I was reading.
Because I overwhelmed you?
Oh, thank you. I haven't been overwhelmed in so long. It just felt so good. Thank you.
You were in good tears or in despairing tears?
Oh no, God! I was like, I was going to gather the references, the organization, the templates, see how best to introduce her. I mean, it was like I was reading this, like, wow, she not only understands, she has the heart. You have your heart in it. It's just, ooh, None of my board members here have their hearts in it. They have, they're in it for different reasons, but not because their hearts are in it. And people who have their hearts in things that I'm doing don't necessarily have their heads in it.
I've been working for a long time to try to bring my head and heart together. I'm not always successful, but if you think I am here, then I'll be in tears when I get off.
No, you are definitely pulling it together. Wow, totally awesome. So let me know.
Okay.
And I'll start writing I'll think about some of those stories. I'll just start writing little paragraph stories, or I'll just search back into some of the things. But I think that, I wouldn't have even thought about that Swiss ski instructor thing unless we've been talking about it. I wouldn't have thought about the communication seminar in Curacao, unless we had been talking about it and just popped into my head.
Right. Sounds like it's good if we talk. It sounds like one good procedure is talk, let me digest what's here and see where it might fit in the book and how to direct you for the next thing, and talk again.
Now, when I have my architectural meetings, first thing I set up is the framework for discussions.
Okay.
And we always meet once a week. Even if it's back east. I literally got on the airplane to Nashville every single week for about 4 years. Because Nashville is the home of all the big hospital owner companies.
Okay.
So I'd fly on Monday and I'd come back Thursday.
Okay.
And specific meetings, always, and everybody was there. Because so, if you want to have a once a week meeting, we can do it, or even every other day. I don't care. This is really where my heart is.
Wonderful. I think once a week would be great because it gives me portions of the earlier part of the week to gather together what's been said, and I want to meet you the following week with some cumulative sense of integrating to some degree what's happened the week before. Okay. So we can meet. This is a good time for me. Is it a good time for you?
Absolutely.
Fridays?
And by the way, I don't have any, very important, I don't have any time or, I don't have any expectations. Because I don't want you to be saying, I really need to be this far this week. And you might get snagged on something, And
and that's okay. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's lovely. What a good. That is caring for my peace for sure.
Yeah.
Because I am in this all the way, and I know I'm good for it. But what I don't know is how much will be digested when exactly.
And you might need to slough off a little bit at some point, and I'll totally understand.
Well,
I say, those interruptions are really good.
I'll tell you when I will, so to speak, be sloughing off. I now have a surgery date.
When is it?
This. So I'll tell you the date, and then so the date is November 25th, which is a Monday. And then I can't know for sure ahead of time, but I'm hoping that I'll be off recovering and not be in, working for 3 weeks. And that after that, I may still be recovering, but that I'll be in good shape to be having conversations and be on the computer and all that. So by that time, you should have enough to do.
Are you going to be out debates?
No, I'm going to be at Summit in Oakland.
Oh yeah, yeah. Linda DeVazzi, our my number one founder of Care for Peace, used to be a CEO there.
Oh, really?
So yeah.
Any prayers or good words you could put in for me for a good recovery is good for me.
No, well, we call it Pill Hill. So you're at Merritt?
Yeah, we do too. I will be at Summit.
Oh, it's Summit. Excuse me.
Which is it's Summit, yeah.
Oh, I got it wrong there.
And then
which one is Summit? Oh, okay,
is that somewhere around 30th Street in Oakland? And
okay,
yeah.
I got it wrong.
Different one. Okay, and then my intent is to go to a skilled nursing facility for about a week because I think I'll get better care and I'll have physical therapists there and all that.
Yep.
So I'm working to set that up.
Both hips or just one?
Just one. The other one was done 6 years ago.
Oh, okay. Good.
This is number 2. I can't go beyond number 2.
Well, no, that's true, but how did the first one go?
It went really well.
Then this one will be, okay.
It will, because my state of mind is much more positive than it was then. So,
I think so, too.
Huh?
I think your state of mind is perfect.
Oh, I think it's good now.
But,
6 years ago, I was just really scared of surgery.
Oh.
But it worked out anyway.
Well, take as many pain drugs as you can. And
I believe.
You know, absolutely.
Medical marijuana, whatever they got, I'll take it. Yeah.
Well, now, yeah, I mean, let me know if you want some. You know what I want to do? This is a total aside here. I want to take psilocybin again.
Oh. I never did. Huh.
It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Huh. And now I'm ready for the next trip. And it was funny, too. It was just awesome. It was funny. And I had a psilocybin notebook that I took, and I drew little pictures in it that just, I'm sure I have it in my piles of stuff, and someday I'll find it and just laugh my head off. But anyway. Well, listen, shouldn't keep you much longer. See you next Friday, but hey, may the emails fly back and forth.
All righty.
Okay.
Sounds good to me.
Thanks,
it's a pleasure.
Naomi. Really enjoyed it. Thank you.
Thank you, too.